Welcome in to another new NACE International podcast. My name is Ben Dubose, staff writer with Materials Performance Magazine, the official membership magazine of NACE. I also write for Coatings Pro magazine. This is our ongoing interview series in which we chat with and spotlight some of the key innovators and technology drivers within the corrosion control industry, and today's guest has plenty of expertise on both of those fronts. His name is Bob Dahlstrom, and he's the CEO of Apelix. Bob, good morning. How are you?
I'm very well, Ben. Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you for joining us. And Apelix is based out of Jacksonville, Florida, correct?
That is correct, yes.
So I'll let you give a little bit of background to our listeners about where Apelix fits into the grand scheme of corrosion control. I know you're known for software-controlled aerial robotics systems. You guys utilize both tethered and untethered drones that can be used for corrosion prevention mitigation in place of usual inspections. Just elaborate, if you could, a little bit of background on the company and where you guys potentially fit in as it pertains to the corrosion control ecosphere.
Sure, thank you. So Apelix is about a 4-year-old company. We've been spending the majority of our time to date perfecting our precision flight control for our aerial robotic systems. And what this means in the corrosion world, which is our world that we play in, is we're able to be, to clean a surface with a tether drone, paint that surface or coat it, and then measure the thickness of the coating and measure the thickness of the steel over time. So we want to be able to take an asset and take care of it for its entire life cycle. So we're in development of some of those products. The product we have in the market today are the two that do non-destructive testing. So anything to measure the thickness of steel, ultrasonic thickness testing, or to measure the thickness of coatings, dry film thickness testing. We have autonomous aerial robotic systems that once you engage the software, it's hands off at that point. There's no human pilot required. It flies in, makes contact with the surface, and takes those measurements. And of course, because it's an aerial robotic system, it's safer because you don't have to put a person at elevation. It's faster, so you can collect more data because you don't have to move a person from place to place. It's pretty mobile. It's able to fly from location to location around, say, a storage tank or a flare stack very quickly. And then it's also hopefully able to gather more information and data than if a person was there, because if you're a drone, basically you're a flying computer, and if you're a flying computer, you're a data gathering machine. So we gather a depth and breadth of information, all related to the condition of the asset for corrosion control and prevention and maintenance.
Let's talk about what's new in 2020. You mentioned that you're a 4-year-old company. You're actually an MP Corrosion Innovation of the Year awards winner a few years back. But I know with each passing year, there's new technology, there's new things that you're integrating into your platforms. I know there was an announcement a few months ago that you guys were looking into pilot projects using these drones for ultrasonic wall thickness inspections. I know you've got various manufacturers that you're partnering with and looking for these pilot projects. Talk about what's new within the last few weeks or months that's on the horizon at Apelix.
Sure. So in addition to those pilot programs for non-destructive testing, which we've engaged 3 large international and national companies to do work with them, the goal is to teach them how to use these robotic systems and then hand them over to them as a lease so they can operate them out in the world, and we would support the equipment and support them that way. But what's new and coming out probably Q4 this year will be our soft wash drone. And so this is the ability to clean large industrial structures. So our first initial target with that is going to be elevated water towers for municipalities. So these 150-foot water towers, especially in the northeast of the United States, a lot of those get mold and mildew on the outside. And so right now, to clean those, to extend the life of the coating, you have to use a lift or a JLG or a cherry picker or something, as well as putting a person up on that lift to be able to spray the chemicals needed to coat these. So these are high volume, low pressure. So, we're talking spraying 8 gallons per minute at about 1,500 PSI to be able to clean these elevated towers. And then as that platform continues to develop, we hope to be able to do additional type of prep work, all with relationship to eventually being able to come back after it's been prepped and coat or paint. As you mentioned, one of the things we're doing is we have a joint development agreement with International Paints, Axo Nobel, to bring our spray painting drone to market. And so having the ability to clean the structure first, then, because we're about 9 months into a 2-year development agreement with them. So when the product comes out, prior to that, we'll have a product that can already measure the coating to tell you the condition of the coating, and then another product using the same platform that'll be able to clean the coatings, clean the assets, and then the spray painting drone will come out, and that'll give us the whole life cycle of that asset, being able to maintain it and monitor for corrosion and prevent corrosion.
You mentioned the partnerships, the development agreements that you guys have with people that are potentially using your assets in the field. What type of feedback have you gotten from some of these early adapters of your technology? Have you made any refinements, for example, based on the field data that you're getting? Just discuss, if you could, what you've heard from the people that are using your systems.
We have, and this is really interesting. It gets a little forward looking at some point, because what's happening, some of these customers are large enough that they can, in some respects, sort of set their own standards. And as the industry is moving towards risk-based inspections, and we're talking specifically here about ultrasonic thickness measurement, dry film thickness measurement, so we're not talking about the cleaning or the coating yet. So as these pilots are progressing with the non-destructive testing, they're realizing, oh my, these industrial robotics can go in there and take a measurement per minute, 60 or 100 measurements per hour, where on an above-ground storage tank, for example, where if we put a person up there as part of an API 653 or SSPC PA2 examination, they're maybe going to get 20 or 30 readings a day. So what does that mean for standards? So kind of what's happening is, as this nascent field of industrial inspection, where you're making contact with the surface, because it's a little different than the visual inspections that have been around for quite a while, where you're flying some distance away doing camera. These are actually physically making contact and replacing the corrosion engineer at elevation with the robotic system. But because the efficiency is there, there's the potential that this may change the standards. And the underwriters and the asset insurers, of course, are very interested in this as well, because the goal is to get a better understanding of the condition of that underlying asset and to make better predictions. So NDE 4.0, non-destructive examinations and evaluations, those tools that we're able to bring with newer modern technology to prevent and help extend the life of these assets and to prevent corrosion are things that I think are really pushing the industry forward. Now they're just starting, but there's a lot. It's like a snowball going downhill. There's a lot of momentum building behind it.
Do companies, and I'll preface this by saying that I'm aware you're still in the fairly early stages of all of this, but do companies tend to understand the value equation? Because I'm sure that there are some people that will look at the technology involved. There's obviously a certain upfront cost that wouldn't be there through traditional means, but the upside of the type of systems that you're proposing is that you can recoup so much value and savings down the line, because you're not having to consistently put workers in harm's way or out in the field, or travel costs, all of those types of factors. So do the companies you speak with, it sounds like they have a good understanding of the value equation, that even if there's a certain upfront technology cost, the savings, should this be successful down the line from not having to do these traditional inspections, and then, of course, what you're able to save by spotting these corrosion issues. The idea is that you're bringing these savings over the life cycle of the equipment or the assets, whatever it may be, right? Do companies understand that well?
They do, and in part, a lot of this is we've listened to, because we're a new company and we're putting new products into the market. We've paid a lot of attention and had a lot of conversations with industry to see what was bringing the most value to them. And our business model currently is a lease. So that reduces that upfront large expenditure so that it flattens that out over time. And that allows the company to have something that always works, is always updated, and always has software updates. And maybe we send out a new drone, for example, when one starts indicating that the motor's getting X number of flight hours and needs to be replaced. So they get a constantly upgraded, evolving piece of technology that always just works, and it's just a recurring, fee, kind of like when you Microsoft Office software as a service fee. So they understand that value creation, and then the value that we're able to bring to the job is we're able to free up the engineers to do the more value creation tasks. So we're able to also eliminate a lot of the costs associated with getting workers at elevation, which rough rule of thumb is 60% of the cost of a job could be just getting your workers at elevation. Sure. So if you don't have to have cranes, if you don't have to have lifts, and you may, you have to pick the right tool from your toolbox to use, and this is not the exact solution you need for every situation, but in certain situations, if you're able to eliminate scaffolding or cranes, you can eliminate a lot of costs. And even better, if you're able to return an asset to service quicker or prevent an asset from being taken out of service to do this inspection or maintenance, that has even larger dollar savings.
One thing that I think is somewhat related to that dynamic in 2020 is the COVID-19 pandemic. And when you mention the value equation, beyond the factors that are always true as it pertains to our business and putting workers out in the field for these traditional inspections, in 2020, there's all sorts of associated risk just with having the travel period and trying to put workers out of their homes into an environment, not so much that the job site isn't safe, but in many cases, the hoops they have to jump through to get to a job site. Have you heard from companies anything about the impacts of the pandemic? Because I'm guessing in this year, especially, a system that can avoid having to put your workers in transit out in the field and do something instead through your systems autonomously, that, at least as I see it, could be a big boost. Is that something that you've heard a little bit about in recent months?
Not as much as you would expect. We've heard some of that, but it hasn't turned into a lot at this time. And that's in part because the organizations we're dealing with right now tend to be very large and slow to change. But what we have seen is some jobs where they extended them so that they're obviously because of either staffing, they can't get the people there, or because, like you mentioned, the extra hoops you have to jump through to get people there. They're pushing off some of their inspections and maintenance, but they can't do that forever, and they do have the same mindset that you just mentioned, that robotic systems can do these tasks potentially without having to have people travel. So it's enabling making it safer for the corrosion engineer.
Yeah, that's interesting. I guess it makes sense that at this point, if you're dealing with larger companies, it's probably not the same as it would be dealing with someone that's working on a smaller scale, and month to month, they're thinking a lot more bigger picture than just what we've been dealing with for the last 3 or 4 months. So that makes sense.
Yeah, and a lot of this is actually fitting together really well with a lot of technology that's been happening pre-COVID. So this whole move to the digital twin, for example, this whole digitizing asset data and information, having robotic systems do work and maintenance on assets and or do contact-based measurement of assets gives you data to feed into those digital twin models.
As far as the next few months or even a couple of years, you mentioned these programs that are in development. You've been around 4 years as a company overall. What does the path forward look like for you guys as you get closer to true commercialization? I know you're in progress with your partnerships with a number of these companies right now. What does the next few months or years look like as you get closer to launching some of your products on a larger scale?
For the most part, it's just an expansion. So right now we've got a few pilots going with non-destructive testing. We hope to turn those into actual leases of the system, and then once we've completed that, we'll be better able to have a turnkey solution ready for somebody, so that it's just here's the manual, here's some training, now you can operate the system, take it out into the world and start using it. Concurrent with that, we hope to be launching the soft wash system as well, because that's not as complicated to operate as the aircraft that take non-destructive testing measures. But it does also require a lot of knowledge, because if you're using sodium hydroxide to clean something, you're using hazardous chemicals. So you have to make sure you have knowledgeable staff, and that's one of the things we want to ensure, that we're certifying the people that operate these robotic systems, so that we know that when they take our systems out into the world, that they know what they're doing and they're going to do a good job. And so we hope to not only expand non-destructive testing, but get the soft wash system out there into the world, and then start expanding on the use cases for the cleaning component, and then shortly thereafter start the pilot projects with some of the systems for coating and actual painting.
Folks, he is Bob Dahlstrom, CEO of Apelix. Bob, before we let you go, for any of our listeners that might want more information from you, the company, how can they find out more from Apelix? I'm guessing it's the website, but anyone that wants to learn more about these programs, how can they get that information?
Yeah, thanks, Ben. So very easily, you can go to www.apelix.com. That's APELLIX.com. Or you can send an email to info@apelix.com, info@apellix.com. On the website, there's a resource page with videos of our different products and different platforms, as well as a link to the YouTube channel, which shows additional videos.
Sounds good. Bob, thank you so much for the time, and look forward to catching up with you down the road.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Ben.
Sure thing. Good stuff there from Bob Dahlstrom, CEO of Apelix. If you want more information from those guys, as he just explained, the best place to get it is online at apellix.com. With that, we will bring this episode of the MP interview series to a close. Again, my name is Ben Dubose, staff writer for Materials Performance and Coatings Pro magazine. And if you want more content before our next podcast interview, the best place to get it is online. Materials Performance, the website for the official membership magazine of NACE. It's simply materialsperformance.com. The website for NACE, the association as a whole, is nace.org. And Coatings Pro magazine, and if you're interested in the Apelix product line, certainly we probably have some coatings guys listening to this, then Coatings Pro magazine for industrial and commercial coatings contractors. That's also part of the NACE Publications division. You can find that online at www.coatingspromag.com. MP, Coatings Pro, NACE, all of these are websites where you can get timely, accurate information about corrosion control, protective coatings, all the various technologies available in 2020 and the latest news as we try to win the war against corrosion. So with that, we'll bring this episode to a close. Thanks again to Bob Dahlstrom, CEO of Apelix, for joining us. Thanks again to all of you for listening, and please come back soon for more podcast episodes right here at NACE International.